The broadcast is live.
That's right. Why are we shouting?
That's what it says. That's what it says.
I think you can have the light off.
No.
It's been so long, I forget how to do this.
Is that good? What? That lighting's good, right?
I don't know. What was it before?
I just turned it down.
I see us. Let's see. Always forget how to do this.
Me too. Hi, world.
I mean, I hope the world's not watching us.
Let's see. We'll get this link going.
Okay, we were just linking and seeing what happens.
I'm just putting it on my stuff, like all my socials.
All right, people are watching.
Already?
Hopefully, people can hear us.
Is it just me though? Because I'm on there watching.
It might be you and me.
I know.
4 times. All right, and I forget how I usually view it. I think, all right, that's delayed. This is riveting.
Now there's 3 viewers. We lost somebody already.
Left.
Oh no.
Someone was like, screw this. I am not watching this. All right.
This show stinks.
Okay, there we go. I'm back in it.
Okay.
Just a little bit of a delay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm gonna just turn this on and make sure I can hear it. It might get a little feedbacky.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we're good. Okay.
I wanted to do something real quick.
Well, real quick, because we need to get this going.
I know, but I just wanted to drop the link in the feed for the exciting sale that's going on right now.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just did that. Look at me.
And you did. I see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Are we ready for this?
I'm ready. Do you want to hit record?
Wow. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Live recording of episode 89. Welcome back. Here we go. In 3, 2. Hi, and welcome to the Changing Perspectives podcast, the show where we discuss a variety of topics, including grief, parenting, relationships, mental health, and pop culture. Join us and explore a number of changing perspectives. We're your hosts, Jenni and Josh Brennan. Well, hello.
Hi. How long has it been? Seriously. How long was our
December
hiatus?
24th, last show.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was. So we really just took January off.
January.
And like the week between Christmas and New Year's,
Yeah.
but that's not a real week anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Welcome back to the studio. Changing Perspectives, back from hiatus. We had this little, like Jenni just said, little winter holiday hiatus. We had to just be parents and professionals, and we just had to put the podcast on the back burner.
Well, truthfully, this is part of the topic today. I
Yes.
do not want to be in the studio with you.
No.
I love you, but
Right.
I don't like you very much lately.
So
Because of quarantine.
right.
I see a lot of you, and so I did not want to then sit in this office.
Yeah.
Where I also sit 5 days a week,
Right.
work and teach, and then do this. I just wasn't.
Do you
ready.
think we could convince one of the boys to move out, and then we can take one of their rooms for a studio?
No,
so
one of
it's not
us.
the
One
same?
of them has said his plan is to stay
I
here
know.
through college and save up money after,
I
so
wish
he
I
can buy a
did.
house. So, no, and I don't want them to go anywhere.
Yeah,
But
no,
what was
I mean-
the reason behind that? You wanted a bigger room?
Different studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all our rooms are the same size.
Well, no, but the different setting, because you said like
Gotcha.
it's tough for you to want to, after a long day, stay in the same room
Mhm.
that you work in
True.
to record,
True, true.
right?
True,
But,
true.
but we're back. It was a hiatus, and part of Jenni had just explained you didn't want to hang out with me. But that leads
love
us, I know, that leads us to today's topic, which is basically relationship rescue. How to survive post-quarantine. Now, we're not really post-quarantine, right? It's still in it. We're at the tail end of the pandemic. Things are good. We have to stick with everything that's going to keep everybody safe, but we're almost there. But what do we do as a couple to survive, to come out of this? What do we learn? What do we learn that we want to keep doing, right? Something maybe,
Is there anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
But what are the things that we definitely don't want to be part of the relationship anymore? We're going to dive into all that. But again, I just wanted to welcome everyone back, episode 89. We are excited to be live streaming this. We're on Facebook Live right now. This is being recorded on a Saturday. And this Saturday, February 6th, marks the first day, or how many days is the sale going on for
Well, I
Changing
forgot. I
Perspectives?
didn't realize it was happening,
Oh.
so I couldn't tell you. But it definitely will be over by the time this episode drops
On Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah.
So it's just for our anyone who's viewing this over the weekend on Facebook.
Yeah. But be on the lookout if you missed the live show and you're listening to this in your earbuds as a recorded podcast, be on the lookout for even more sales.
Yes, I will do a better job of seeing when they're scheduled for this year.
Right. Well, for the live feed, I dropped a link to the shop. Listen, I think today, if you order something, what the website is saying, that'll be there before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I don't really like Valentine's Day, but if you'd like Valentine's Day,
right.
Definitely feel free to buy something. The website says that, but I would take that with a grain of salt because I don't think anything's coming on time these days.
Speaking of salt, what are you drinking, Jenny?
Well, you made me a Paloma, but I ate all the salt off it already. One of the benefits of being married to a former bartender is that I get to have craft cocktails only on the weekends.
Yeah.
And so you decided this week you were going to make me some Palomas.
But
you put it in your glass. It says Josh.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I just grabbed one.
I don't know if folks can see. It says Josh.
That was a Christmas present from Jenny.
It's from Epcot.
Well, I'm drinking today. I have reduced my beer consumption to really just a limited amount of
That's hard for you to say.
Limited amount of craft beer on the weekend. I'm going to stay away from
Bud Light.
The Bud Lights and that's fun, but I'd rather just have quality over quantity.
If you're going to have alcohol, you'd rather have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I have a special one today that I bought specifically for this episode because we're talking about, I'm going to show you in a second. Don't look.
Okay.
Because we're talking about relationships and our relationship and how to survive. And one of the things that we really miss, we're going to talk about this, is going away together. Yeah. One of our favorite places to go away to when we were a young couple, was the Woodstock Inn Brewery in New Hampshire. And I'm drinking Pig's Ear Brown Ale.
I think that was the first beer we got.
Yeah.
Like in their little jugs. I forget what they call them. I forget. Yeah. But it was a little jug. I think that was the first beer we took home.
Yeah. Before I actually really liked beer, I think.
We got engaged there.
But yeah, so cheers, Jenny. That's what I'm drinking for this.
Actually
cheers. Let's cheers. Oh, I can hear that. There we go.
Those are crappy glasses, it sounds like. Okay. All right.
They're nice glasses. But listen, while you're over on the Changing Perspectives Online website.
Oh, we're still doing the boring stuff?
Yeah, that's what it is. ChangingPerspectivesOnline.com. Click on the shop. It says explore the shop, I think is the link. But while you're hanging out on the website, don't forget to sign up for Jenny's newsletter. Jenny, you had a banner week.
I know, I felt a little bad because I send out a newsletter at the beginning of every month, which should have been, Friday? Saturday? I mean, Monday or Sunday.
Yeah.
But I was a day late because that's on brand for 2021 for me so far.
Right.
So I sent that out Monday. And then Tuesday I sent out, I lied. On Monday I sent out a freebie, which is actually available to everybody. So if you go to the Changing Perspectives page on Facebook, there's a pinned post that is a free download for you. It's ideally designed for February. 28 daily affirmations. So it sort of walks you through what are affirmations, what's the benefit of that. You can download that. So I sent that out to all of my subscribers on Monday. Then on Tuesday, I did the monthly newsletter, which has just articles and resources and links to other people to follow on Facebook, because I think we should try to have our social medias kind of filled with as much positivity as we can.
Absolutely.
And then on Wednesday, I always send out a Wednesday wisdom, just a quick 1 minute long email, just something sort of that's on my mind, something that's supposed to inspire some positivity and hopefulness in you. So folks on my list got emails 3 days in a row. I felt bad because that felt like a lot, but that is not typically how it goes. Typically it's a one every Wednesday and then an additional one every month. And then as I have freebies, I always send those out to my followers first. So
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. It's exciting. I happen to subscribe to you and I enjoy those emails very much.
And I can see who opens them
Yeah.
and who clicks the links. And I do see that you always open them.
I do.
So I appreciate that.
I do. Also, you are becoming more of a presence on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone.
Check
like
out the
way out of
Changing
my comfort
Perspectives
zone.
TikTok. Jenny's putting out some really cool videos, getting a lot of traction, like a lot of views.
It's weird.
Yeah,
I
like
don't
2,000
really want
views.
to talk about it. Don't look at me on TikTok.
They're great. They're helpful.
I have a lot of ideas, but it's really like just for those of you that have been here for a while, it was really hard when we started doing live broadcast.
I
don't
hear
know whose
phone.
that is. It's probably mine. When we started doing live broadcast, that was really hard for me
Yeah,
to sort of
vulnerable.
see. Yeah, vulnerable. Sort of taps into my poor self-esteem and not wanting to sort of see myself. And TikTok has been something that's been on my list for probably a year and a half. I remember watching a video by Gary Vee probably 2 years ago, probably around the same time that we started the podcast, saying like TikTok is the next place for businesses to be. And I struggled with how does a therapist and sort of mental health professional and author wind up on TikTok. And so figured out some thoughts around it, but just couldn't break through the self-esteem piece. But I decided to jump off the cliff this week.
Yeah, and they're great.
And our youngest is totally into like.
What do you mean youngest?
Audio,
you mean
visual.
Executive producer.
He is our executive producer. And so he's been giving me tips.
Jacob.
Lately, his tips have been, Mom, delete that and redo it. And the
one, you know what,
my last one I did not delete and redo.
Right.
Because I didn't. My makeup was much better in the morning than it was.
Well, I thought it was great.
Thanks.
What we have to redo is Jacob's tag credits for the podcast.
Yeah, if you stick around to the end of the podcast, you can hear his tag. But he does not sound like that anymore.
His voice is even deeper now, which is sad, but cool.
All right, so none of that is what we're talking about.
None of that is what we're talking about. You're going to love what I say next, though.
Oh, is this an ad?
No, it's not an ad. It's just a reminder that when you give us a rating or a review on iTunes, we will read them over the air. So don't forget, we haven't stopped doing that. We took a little hiatus, obviously. So any brand new reviews submitted on iTunes, we will read those over the air. Tell your friends, share a link to the episode. Get Changing Perspectives in more of your friends' mindsets to join us.
They're doing that in Ireland, so thank you.
Yeah,
They're in like
shout out to Ireland right now, or Ireland listeners. It's exciting stuff. All right, Jenny, should we dive into the episode proper? Should we?
Yes, we should. Okay. Rebecca is commenting. Rebecca is like our oldest. I don't mean in age, Rebecca, but you've been around since like the beginning, and you've been our sort of constant cheerleader.
Yeah,
and when we go on hiatus,
super
you're
fan.
the one that reaches out and is like, "Are you okay? Are you coming back?" So thank you. I'm so happy you're here. Rebecca says she's going to wait this until it comes out on Spotify to listen more, but she loves that we're back. And we are not staying warm, and I'm jealous that you're in warm Texas.
Yeah, it's been very chilly up here. Awesome. Super fan, Rebecca. Love it.
Oh, super fan. I like that.
Super fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Undoing the quarantine damage, relationship rescue. That's what we're talking about today. Rescuing your relationship from the quarantine. Jenny, did you know that divorce rates increased significantly in China after March?
Japan. I did know that.
25% increase.
I totally get why.
And the VAT, what was that?
I totally understand that.
I feel like that was a dig a little bit, but that's okay.
No, that's what we're talking about.
That's interesting today. You said
but
that.
I also, not just from like our experience personally, but also as a therapist sitting every day sort of talking to people who are in relationships, the sort of struggles that we've had are not unique to us. It's really kind of what's going on. What are you looking at? Do I have something?
Your mic. I pull it just a little bit closer, not too close.
Okay.
Right about, a little lower. Right about there. I wasn't even messing around, even though that could have been fun. Okay. It was interesting that you said I get that, because did you know that 74% of those divorces were initiated by the woman in the relationship? We talk about heterosexual relationships. I think that's what the data is from. But 74% of the time, the woman in that relationship initiated the divorce. Makes sense. We have all kinds of different links to share in true Changing Perspectives fashion. I pulled a bunch of articles for this. So what we're going to do is sort of start off with and you can chime in as a professional, but what are the elements or factors that are negatively impacting relationships during this time. Like, why did the divorce rates increase and whatnot? So there's lots of stress and factors that could benefit that. I came up with a list. One of them is from a Pew study.
Pew pew.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I was corresponding with our executive producer.
Pew put out a article after a survey. Economic fallout from COVID-19 continues to hit lower income Americans the hardest. All kinds of really interesting, amazing facts in an article that will be dropped in the show notes. But the one I wanted to pull out was 1 in 4 adults are struggling to pay their bills during this past year.
I was going to get political, but we got $600.
Yeah. Woohoo. So my number one stress factor was money, that I thought would be a significant impact on relationships that could
That's
lead to
that's
divorce.
not what I would have thought first.
Well, let me ask you a question with regards to what you're seeing in your practice. Is money coming up between couples right now and resulting in these feelings of, all right, I guess we're done, or these separations or divorces?
Yes, and. So yes, it is definitely an issue for a lot of families, individuals, couples right now through the pandemic. And it's not necessarily in at least what I'm seeing, the primary reason for conflict right now. It is, are you upset that our child is making
There's noises coming.
Deal with that holder. It's not necessarily the primary reason for sort of the breakdown in relationships right now. I think it's a contributing factor, but it's not what most people are reporting as their primary kind of concern.
Right. Okay. I mean, there's obviously a ton of people out of work, unable, furloughed, unable to find a job, and unable to, and then what the fallout of that actually is, being inability to pay bills, inability to pay mortgages, inability to pay loans.
Well, so it's resulting in stress. Like, if we look at just the money factor, like just the impact on a relationship of being out of work because of COVID-19, it adds stress, right? And also it might sort of change roles. It might change dynamics in the relationship. So maybe both individuals were working full time, or one was working full time, one was working part time, and then that switched. Anytime you have a sort of role switch in a family or in a couple, I mean, I'll stick to couples because we're talking about couples today. That places huge stress on a relationship dynamic. And if it's happening at a time where we can't really tap into, either as a couple or as individuals, the things that we used to do to sort of cope and sort of bring ourselves some peace and calmness and happiness in our lives, then that's kind of a recipe for disaster. Right? Like you and I think I have no idea actually what you prepared for today. You give me, for those of you that are new,
typical
Josh
question.
gives me the topic, or we kind of come up with the topic together, and then he does some research, and then we just sort of turn on the mics and go with it. So I have no idea what you pulled.
Well, and I think the format of the show works better that way, because you don't know what, like, you're responding organically in real time to this information. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
I lost it because you talked over me. Seriously, lost it.
Where'd it go?
I don't know.
You have to find it.
It's gone. What was I saying? Help me out, someone. So you weren't listening.
No, I was listening.
I don't know. Role reversals.
Role reversals. That's what you're saying.
I know what I was saying. What we have realized, one of the things we have realized, is that sort of our relationship requires time alone. Yeah. And that's not that it's time away from our children, or away from our 3 dogs, or away from our 2 cats, or away from all the dishes and all that stuff. It is partially that, but it's sort of time to step outside of the real world and reconnect as individuals, right? So not as like co-parents, not as co-pet parents, not as 2 roommates who are living together, not as sort of, I always refer to marriages as sort of running a business together. So not as sort of business owners, talking about who's going to pay the bills, but to sort of just be with each other and enjoy each other's company again. We require that. Yeah. And this has been the longest we've gone without a night away together. Norma Jean's really tired, one of our dogs. I think it's been 13 months now since we've had like a night away, which I don't remember the last time that happened for us. I think
No.
maybe when we had our oldest.
I
But
think we're-
even within 6 months of him being born, I think we had a night away.
We're coming up on a year.
No,
So-
we just had a year.
No, where we had one night in like.
It was January.
No, we went to the comedy show.
Oh, that's right. That was right before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
But
one night.
But I feel like that wasn't us. That was like we were with
No,
two
we were
other
other people.
couples.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the last time we were in a hotel room together.
Mm-hmm.
But
that we weren't like actively parenting, essentially.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit more, but staying on the money piece for a second, an additional point that the Pew article states is half of adults who say they lost a job due to the coronavirus outbreak are still unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And this article came out this past fall, so and that is 9 months after everything started. But that's a lot. That can be so taxing on a couple, a family, and then it's just like this snowball.
Just as an individual, right?
Yeah.
Like if part of your identity or a big part of your identity is wrapped into what you do as a career, what you do for work, and that suddenly gets taken away from you, and the can keeps getting kicked down the road,
Mm-hmm.
or the finish line keeps moving, that's really destructive to sort of your sort of functioning right now.
Right.
And then if you were, going through that as an individual and you're part of a couple, of course it's going to have an impact on it.
I think that anything that could be stress on an individual will undoubtedly affect the couple, right? My next stress factor or factor that can negatively impact a relationship that I wrote was loneliness. So not seeing people, and not that, I mean, when you're with a couple, you're never really alone, but like for you, for instance, you are 100% teleworking.
Right.
You haven't been into stores or anything. So you, I think, you're alone.
Right. Well, and I don't have coworkers. So because I run my own practice, so I am with people all day. I just actually published an article about sort of the contradictions of kind of my life right now that I think other people can relate to.
I liked that article.
Thank you. So I'm with people all day long. Right. I'm seeing 6 to 9 clients a day, back to back. So I'm with them. I'm talking to people. I'm seeing people on video, pretty much as face to face as you can get. And then our kids are here 3 days a week. They're only in 3 days a week. They're only in school 2 days a week. You're here every single day in the dining room or the kitchen. And so I see people all the time, but I'm never really with people. Right, like I don't have coworkers that I can call up, and you have that. You have every time I step out there, you're on a call with a coworker or something like that. You sort of still have the equivalent of like going to the water cooler and saying hi.
Right.
And when I was seeing folks in person, I was sharing an office suite with 6 or 7 other clinicians, and so we wouldn't really have lunches together or anything like that because not a lot of us booked lunches, myself included. But we would see each other in the 10 minutes before between sessions. We'd sort of, catch up a little bit. Or we'd see each other on the way to the mailbox or the restaurant.
Right. But even like for you, your commute included like daily stops to get an iced tea or something, and you would see the same people.
Yeah,
even true. At like Dunkin' Donuts or something, and that is something that's not there. So that
Starbucks.
loneliness piece.
I do miss Starbucks because
so
Starbucks is out of its way. I miss Starbucks.
But I think loneliness, not only with individual couples, like maybe you see a lot less people than you saw before as a couple. But when I wrote loneliness, I was thinking the loneliness that one individual might be experiencing, and then bringing that stress or sadness into the relationship. I go.
Hi, Julie. Sorry, Julie said hi, Jenny. I was saying hi.
Oh, hi. I go into the office once a week, and my work, even again, just to your point, even when I'm remote, I'm still with people virtually, right? Zoom meetings, I could see people
and they're your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, you are when you go into you work in healthcare. So when you're on site, you're taking calls with families and healthcare agencies and things like that. But for the most part, your interactions are still with colleagues, where you can kind of really be yourself with some more than others.
Right.
So yes, but I think our two situations are sort of representative of a lot of people's situations, right? Some people have sort of back to back meetings. They sort of
Right.
talk to their colleagues a lot.
Yeah.
And some companies are still doing like Friday night happy hour virtually, and a lot
Yeah,
of folks
yeah,
are
yeah.
telling me like, I'm sick of my fellow employees. I
Yeah.
don't want to hang out with them on Zoom on a Friday night and
Right,
have a glass
right.
of wine. I'm zoomed out. I'm all set.
Mhm.
And then there's other folks who aren't even sort of as lucky as I am, where I get to sort of have face-to-face sessions with clients all day. They're just sort of behind a computer typing away and not really having a lot of interaction. So it is
Right.
really easy for there to be loneliness. So I agree. So far I'm on
Okay.
point with your so far two stress factors on top of on a relationship during a pandemic: money and
Loneliness.
loneliness.
Individual
I also
loneliness.
think it's important to sort of think about, as we're talking about this, friendships too. So in family, all relationships. I know sort of the crux
Right.
of what we're
Yes,
talking about is
yes.
like romantic
Couples.
relationships,
Right,
but
right.
I think a lot of this also applies to other relationships,
Mhm.
friendships, family relationships,
Sure.
things like that.
Now, next I have listed the next stress factor is isolation as a couple. So not being able to go out, not being able to, do the things that you would like to do, but feeling isolated in that, you can't just pop over to wherever. Like we used to, when even recently, like, even going shopping together, like we would go to Target ahead of a trip or have a date or go to Starbucks, followed up by maybe a trip to Target to get whatever, and then we would end by coming back home and watching a movie together or something. But even that, as a couple, you're isolated.
Well,
so your activities are isolated.
They are, and I think we really felt that. We really kind of realized that 11 days ago when I went to get my first round of the COVID vaccine, which I now have COVID arm, by the way. Just fun fact: 11 days after I developed COVID arm, so I've got a big old rash on my arm. It's not going to stop me from getting the second round.
Changing perspectives. We'll spend 2 seconds of the PSA. We are pro-vaccine. It's going to help get us herd immunity. If you have when it becomes available to you to get the vaccine, Changing Perspectives recommends the vaccine.
Okay. And done.
Herd immunity. Go.
Okay. See, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so we went, which is something that we would like. You took the day off. Then we were going to go together. I got mine at Gillette Stadium, which is about 30 minutes away. I had no idea that I was going to be waiting outside in the cold for an hour.
You had to borrow my jacket.
I did. Thank you for lending me your jacket. But we realized on the way home, and then I sort of went into a funk because of it, that pre-COVID, we would have like hung out at Gillette Stadium. Yeah. We would have like gone out and had some drinks. We would have had some appetizers. We would have done some shopping. We might have like stayed at the hotel there and had like a night away. And instead, we just drove home because neither of us feel safe going to restaurants right now. Even though I begged Josh the other night, I was like, please, could we go out on Saturday? And he was like, no, here are all the numbers from work, blah, blah, blah. And then this morning, Twitter was like, hey, I heard you talking about wanting to go out to a restaurant. Here's a scary article about how risky it is. So,
can I say why it's risky right now? Can I talk about it for a second?
No, you can't, because it's because of all the variants.
Yes.
And it's repeated, unmasked, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we're not going out to dinner tonight or anytime soon.
I think sooner than later.
Okay. But that, I think we really realized that on the way home. Like, wow, this is really different for us.
That isolation feeling as a couple. You're isolated in your quarantine routine.
Well, and not even being able to like go hang out with your couple friends or your friends or just sort of, I don't know, go out anywhere to someone's house or something. It's just coupled with winter. It is really isolating. And when we're isolating, that's something that's really awful when we think about depression and anxiety. Isolation is only typically going to make those things worse. And so, when you factor that in, of course, it's going to put strain on a relationship.
Well, I think too, even those activities that we would normally just do together and have time together, like sports things for the boys. Like Jacob's playing basketball right now. It's not real basketball. I mean, it is, but there's all kinds of different rules to keep people safe. It's masked, and there's limitations to the amount of people that can be
There's no bleachers,
at the
right?
game.
Which
There's no
is,
bleachers, no seating.
I love watching my children play.
Yeah.
I also love sort of the community that you find, and you don't really know this because you were always coaching. You're always
Yeah.
on the other side.
Yeah,
But for years, what are we talking, like 10 years now? I've
pretty
I've
much.
been on the bleachers, right, or on the sidelines, and there's a community there, and you get to know other parents, and you sort of develop those sort of friendships,
Mhm.
and that's part of the experience for me of watching the games, and you can't do that right
No.
now. So I haven't been to any
Well-
of them. Also, because I'm a super strict rule follower, and technically there's only supposed to be one parent with a child, and you're there as
I'm
the
the
coach,
coach.
and I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, and it's not about rules; it's about safety, right?
That too.
So, but in normal times, we would all go together.
And then like grab dinner,
Yeah.
like go out to dinner on
Right,
the way
right.
home, or like go to a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now this has become an activity for just me and Jake.
Which
which
is
is good.
nice.
Yeah,
right?
it's nice.
Like there's some
Mhm.
niceness in that too.
But yeah, so isolation.
So
all right.
money, loneliness, isolation.
Yeah.
I feel like loneliness / isolation might be
Yeah, it might be one.
the same.
Next, I have a lack of what refuels you.
Mm-hmm.
And we already talked about this. For us, refueling you as a couple is what we're talking about. But for us, that means our trips together.
Right.
The annual one we take, and you
Well,
know, thinking,
Annual ones.
Yeah.
Because typically we've fallen into a pattern where you get sent away for work to a conference, and it's my favorite because
oh, we released an episode all about Toronto.
And
last
Toronto,
year.
that
Yeah,
was
we
the last-
recorded it in Toronto.
it wasn't last year.
It was 2019.
It was 12, 13, 14, 15, it was 16, 17 months ago.
Yep.
That was the last trip we went on. And there was a sort of point in time where you are kind of traveling 2 or 3 times a year, and I would go with you probably for 2 of those.
Yeah.
And, I would pay my own way. And while you were in your conferences during the day, I would get caught up on everything, get caught up on notes,
Yeah.
get caught up on documentation, work on some of these side projects I have going on, work on writing, go sit at a coffee shop by myself, go explore by myself, sleep in, work out, like just kind of have that sort of that quiet time. And then at night, when you didn't have events, then we would go explore kind of the place together. And so,
Well, we fell in love with Toronto together because we love traveling. So in addition to our trips together, just like romantic getaways, we love traveling and experiencing new things together. Sorry, dropped my beer can.
was it empty?
I poured it into a glass. We love experiencing the world together and experiencing new things together, and that's what refuels us. We were doing weekly date nights and going to some of our favorite restaurants and experiencing new restaurants, and that refuels us. So a lack of what refuels you, that's a struggle for me, that phrase. So that is a stress factor that I think could negatively impact relationships for sure.
And I think,
whatever that means for a couple.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think we figured out in all of this time in quarantine what a acceptable replacement is for those activities.
Right.
Like at the beginning of quarantine, you were really cute and like planned some like at-home dates, but it just felt weird. Like it just felt weird to like hang out on this side of the house while the boys were on the other side, and I don't know, it just felt.
Well, we have gotten into a routine as a family now recently. Like we watch.
It's really nice.
It's awesome. We have all kinds of great quality time together.
Right.
And we look like all 4 of us look forward to it and look for each other. And I think that right now, because school is busy and work is busy and they're starting to do some more sports, I think you and I peeling away for an afternoon when we would normally be hanging out together, like you're right, it feels kind of off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But still, those activities refuel us as a couple, and we don't have those.
Yeah, our gas tank is empty.
Yeah. What else? Those are the stress factors
Well, I
I
want
came
to
up
talk
with.
about that part on an individual basis too.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that for a lot of people, individuals, we're not able to do what refuels us. For a lot of people, there was something, at least one thing, that was lost during quarantine. That was something that would refuel us. Maybe if you're a parent and you've got kids at home, you've lost sort of your nanny or your babysitter because of COVID, or because indirectly from COVID because you're not working the same hours. Maybe you've lost your ability to go to the gym and take the sort of workout classes that you were doing before.
Right.
Maybe you lost that commute to and from work, which is something I've lost, that time in your car. And I really realized this the other day because I took our oldest to his orthodontist appointment. So I drove, and as we were getting in the car, he was like, "Mom, when was the last time you drove?" And I said, "I think the last time I took you to your orthodontist appointment last month."
I think it was.
And I was so excited, and that was actually when I posted my first TikTok video.
Yeah.
Because there's something like that's what refuels me is time alone. There's something about driving. I think probably because for so long I was a social worker on the road doing home visits, and so I literally lived in my car. My car was my office. So there's something really kind of centering about being in a car and driving, but then also in a really weird way, sitting in a parking lot. Like I feel at home in a parking lot by myself in my car with the radio on, get to do some work. And I don't get to do that anymore. And I used to, when I was in my office, if I beat the bus schedule kind of early enough, I could go and grab my iced tea from Starbucks and sit in a parking lot for like 10 minutes and just listen to a radio show, catch up on social media, balance my checkbook, like whatever. It just, or do nothing. No, I never really did nothing. Before I went into my office and sort of started my work day, and I realized sitting in the orthodontist parking lot, because we're not allowed inside, like, I really miss this. And when he came out, because he had been told he was getting his braces off, so we thought it was going to be like an hour and a half long appointment. But there was a miscommunication. He wasn't. He was just getting fitted for his retainer.
Maybe the miscommunication is that he's going in by himself.
I do think that's an issue. So when he came out, like 15 minutes later, I was disappointed. Not that I was disappointed to see him, but disappointed that like, oh, my alone time is coming to an end. So
that makes sense.
One example of how like I've lost something that really refuels me. Today, you went out to run some errands. The boys wanted to get something from Walmart. So the three of you were out of the house. And when you came home, again, I love all of you. I was like, oh man, they're home already. Because I was working out when you left. I did 15 miles on the bike today, actually.
Nice.
I was working.
Can you see the bike in my feet? No, that's on the other angle.
I was working out when you left. Then was drinking, was hydrating myself, and then taking a shower. And so I was getting ready, and I was watching this course that I'm enrolled in, having like some quiet time for myself. Everett's barking. And you guys were home, so I realized, like, and I've written about this, that I've lost that silent time. So, what have you lost things? What have you lost that refueled you? I mean, you used to commute like 45 minutes to an hour each way, 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah,
that's gone.
That's gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably that's the biggest change for me.
Coaching. I mean, did coaching refuel you, like that time to be out of the house with, like, sort of teaching?
I was just thinking about this today. So this year was supposed to be the year that Jacob moved up in basketball to like the next level.
Right.
You know, full basketball rules, traditional travel, like setting where you go to schools, you're playing this town, you're going to this town school, or you had a home court, like, you know, better uniforms. It was the next level, sixth grade.
Real basketball. Yeah.
And I was just thinking about this, and now we're not.
Right.
We're not there. We're still at the same sports center we were at.
Which also might be the reason I don't really drag myself there, because I strongly dislike that place.
Gigantic complex with gyms and indoor turf and an arcade. It's just this huge place. It was nice of them to host this league, which was great.
But you're right, it wasn't what you were.
It's not what we were planning, and we didn't have enough kids willing to play this season because of the risk, and so we had to combine with a different team. And so I'm actually not the head coach, which I don't know that I'm sad about, because I don't know if I would want to be a head coach during this time and have it be so different.
As the wife of a head coach, I like it. Head coaching, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Have we done a whole episode on coaching youth sports and sort of
We
the toll
did.
that takes?
I don't know if we did coaching, but we did youth
Youth
sports
sports.
parenting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not missing that at all
Yeah.
as like a wife. And actually, I think that would probably push us over the
It has
the
been a
edge.
nice break. Like,
Mhm.
I can't imagine doing this, being a head coach during this.
Right.
But anyway.
Thank you to everybody that does.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I think that it just ended up being a nice, unexpected benefit to allowing my co-coach there to take over.
But so in terms of refueling you, and I've talked about this with folks pretty recently a lot in sessions, there's something, and I've talked about this before, it seems to be like people go through things together even though they don't know they're going through it together. Are you trying to wake up Nora Jean?
Yeah.
She's snoring.
You see her on the feed. She's at the bottom of my camera.
Kind of, you can kind of see her.
You're snoring.
So I tend to see lots of themes come up, and people are really struggling, at least here in the Northeast, in January and February. Like where the holidays are behind us, and there's usually a little like big dip in sort of emotions after the holidays, because there's sort of like the post-holiday stress and letdown, and then what are we looking forward to? There was something different this year because of the storming of the Capitol and the election stuff and certifying the vote that sort of filled up the first part of January with stress. But sort of gave a distraction. And then after that, it was like after inauguration, where everything just sort of settled in a way, that then I see a big slump in terms of depression is a lot worse, anxiety is a lot worse. And people here in the Northeast are just like super blah. And I think everyone's tanks are empty. And so we talk about how people have not really adapted to figuring out what fills their tank now, what they have access to, and or they're not giving themselves permission to do it. And so what I see a lot of people doing, ourselves included, is the equivalent of I always sort of compare us to cars. You got to fill yourself up with gas and get oil changes and all that stuff. I see people doing the equivalent of like pulling into the gas station and throwing a buck of gas in the gas tank, just enough to get you to like home. But if something happens and you have to like go out in the middle of the night, you don't have enough gas in your tank.
Right.
Or just enough to get you to work. And then on the way home, you're going to throw another buck in. People aren't really giving themselves permission and or haven't figured out how to completely refill their tank.
Yeah.
And I think that's a struggle. And I think part of it is we haven't really had space within the quarantine time to figure out what that is for us all.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. All right. So we've already been talking for 40 minutes, believe it or not. So let's go on to the next section, which is what do we do now? How do we move forward? What's the next step? Almost a year now since the pandemic. I just cry.
Truly, feel your feelings.
How do we try to survive so we don't become a statistic or we don't become part of that increase in divorces or separations? So I pulled an article that I just dropped the link in on the live feed. This is from Talkspace.com. The best way to fight. Oh, sorry, what's the title? The best way to fight with your partner, according to a therapist. Actually, that's not the article. I thought that was interesting, though. There's a lot of good
that's an interesting
stuff
one. What is that? What is that therapist?
I dropped that one, but there's another one. Where did it go? Anyway, I'll drop all the links here.
Okay.
I don't know where it went. So make time for alone time.
Like as a couple, alone time?
No, individually.
Yes.
And the tip here in the article is to coordinate your alone time.
So this comes up with a couple of my clients. I'm not, breaking confidentiality, but people really struggle with this, right? Because now you've got, and especially if you're thinking about you're a couple and you've got maybe adult children in the house.
Yep.
There's not really alone time, and there's something that can feel really selfish. It's not, but that can feel really selfish about saying to your family, I love you, please get out. I need some alone time, right? And this person really enjoys like their quiet time at home. They, prior to all of this, had a day off during the week where they could be home completely alone. That day was coordinated, sort of, it worked out so that everybody else in the house was not home. And so they had that day. Right. And every time that person has lost that day, we see it. We see sort of the impact that has on depression and anxiety for them. But there's something that's really hard about saying to your family, I love you. Is there a way we could coordinate
Yeah.
so that I could have an hour alone. Um, Especially if your partner is not working, right? But
Right.
I think it's important to give yourself permission to do that and to ask people, maybe can you take the long way home from work? Or when you go to Walmart, and I kind of wish I had thought about this. And so some of this takes planning. When you go to
Right.
Walmart to stay with the boys, why don't you stop at Dunks and like get them, I don't know, something to drink and then sit in the car and talk for a few minutes just to give me extra time. Or send me a text when you're on your way home so I know my alone time is coming to a close.
And we would have been happy to oblige.
Well, because it would have been probably good for you too.
Yeah.
So I like that tip, sort of scheduling alone time. And I think it's important to kind of look at your schedule and schedule things, right? Here's an opportunity. Oh, the kids are back in school. I had another client this week. Kids are finally back in school. They were completely remote. And so they were talking about like, okay, now I've got this window of time, a few days a week where I can, do this and this and this and go to Target and run the errands. And I said, or you could do what refuels you.
Right.
So how would it feel if you came home and sat on the couch and read a book, or hopped on the bike and worked out by yourself without having to worry about sort of, a kid running in and screaming at you. And they did that, and
that's good.
And you could instantly but they needed permission to do that because there's also this sort of notion during quarantine that we have to somehow stay busy or be busy, and if we're working from home, we need to justify that we really are truly working and we're not taking advantage of it. Or if we're not working, that we're not being lazy, or if we are a stay-at-home parent, that we are, somehow working extra hard. Like it's just hard. It has to start, I think, with giving yourself permission to say, this is really hard and I'm struggling, and so I need to change something and take better care of myself, self and relationship wise.
That's good. Okay, cool. Next, this is where I pulled that from that article that I just mentioned. Learn to communicate better and learn, quote, how to fight. Avoid unhealthy communication styles.
Sounds like your voice just changed a little bit there.
It did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean for it to.
Okay. All right. I think we have not been doing a good job fighting.
No.
For those of you that are new, because we didn't talk about that. This page has grown a lot.
Can I pause this for a second?
Are you going to pause the recording?
No. I'm just going to pause our talking because I need to switch headphones because this one's bothering me.
I was going to ask you, do you want earbuds?
Do you have some?
I don't have earbuds that go into a laptop though.
But I need that. So can we switch with this one?
Oh, you want to give me that one?
Yeah, can we switch with that? Is that going to mess up the feed?
I don't think so.
Oh no, I meant this.
I don't know what you mean.
This one.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Is that okay? Sorry, everybody.
Wait, there might be feedback for a second.
For a second. Okay. Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay, so what do you...
I don't know what's going on with that. The headphones, they bother my bald head.
Okay, so where are you plugging that into?
I can hear that pretty loud though.
Because it's coming through this. Sorry. Okay, is that better? I don't think so. Talk.
Hello?
Yeah, you can hear it through the other set of headphones.
No.
Let me turn this down. Okay.
Turn it down a little bit.
All right.
Oh my god, that's so much better though.
Okay. It's funny. I was going to ask you because you were really
so bothering me.
With it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Hey, everybody.
So that's also changed in the 6 weeks since we've done an episode. You cannot tolerate headphones. I guess.
I don't know what it is. Maybe, do I usually wear a hat?
You do actually. Now that you just said that, yeah. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh, learning how to fight.
These headphones are better.
Okay.
Okay. Make time for together time. So
we didn't. We glossed over the fight.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, learn how to fight.
Well, how do you fight?
I don't know. The best way to fight, according to a therapist. I didn't really dive into this too much. It says basically stay away from unhealthy communication.
I was just going to say, like, no name calling,
minimizing, invalidation, shaming, denial of responsibility. I do that all the time. Self-admitted. I have trouble accepting responsibility. Name calling, you said that. And kitchen sinking. Throwing every past argument into the current fight, even when it barely applies to the present situation. Quote, you always do that. This is just like the time 5 years ago when blah, blah, blah. So that's interesting.
I'm a kitchen sinker.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Um,
So that is, again, from Talkspace.com. How to
there's a
Fight with
whole
Your Partner.
episode that we could do on that, huh?
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
I think part of it is all of this is interconnected, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not able to take care of yourself in an effective way, then you're not going to be able to tap into those skills, right? You're not going to be
Yeah.
able to sort of say to yourself, Jenny, don't kitchen sink right now because that's not going to be helpful. Instead, what you wind up doing is just sort of using your partner as a sort of punching bag. I don't mean literally, but a punching bag because your gas tank is empty, so you can't tap into any of that. So that's also what's going on. It's hard to. None of us are really functioning optimally right now because we're just empty and stressed, and it's hard to find hope right now. And I think when you're living in an area like we do, where it's cold, it's gray, we're facing another snowstorm. I think the sun was out for a little bit today.
It was nice.
But I think that was the first time we've seen it in weeks. It's really hard right now. Okay, so being conscious about that, and I would encourage couples to talk about that and sort of do an inventory, like not in the middle of a fight. How are we as a couple when we fight? What am I doing that is really bothersome for you that you want me to change? And what are you doing, vice versa? And what can we kind of commit to changing for each other? So, okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
I like when I agree with everything. Sometimes I'm a little bit snarky. I'm like, I don't agree with that author. Yeah,
that's interesting. Well, obviously, I'm going to share the link, but maybe there's another episode in the future about fighting. Make time for together time, which is another tip, I think, from that same article. Basically, at the antithesis of make time for alone time, but make time for together time as well. And I think that's a pretty obvious one. But,
so that's like scheduling like a date stuff. And I think we're not doing a good job of that.
No,
I think
we're not. This is kind of fun together, though.
Yes, actually, that's true. I think we were doing a better job of that, but then this like wonderful thing happened, right? Where we were like watching our show at night, and we got into a couple different miniseries, and I think three different miniseries. I think it was 3 different things. We were like on episode 2, and our executive producer would come out in the living room and be like, "What are you guys watching?" And he's really into like directing and cinematography and stuff. And he's like,
if he wanted to, he could be in movies.
I know. He's like, why is this like in such a yellow tone? And so then for all 3 of those miniseries, he missed the first episode, but then from episode 2 on, he sat and watched it with us, which was awesome. And now we're binging together. I won't say what it is because we'll be judged by other people.
I know. He's very mature.
Yeah. But so we're binging, I think, a 6-season, right? 6-season series. And so that's what we're doing every night. And then at the same time, when our other child is available, because he's a teenager and does teenager things, like playing video games is not really going anywhere. But when he's available, then we are rewatching the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in
timeline order,
which we've never done, which is kind of blowing my brain.
It's very exciting.
But I think, is this the second or third time we rewatched the MCU during quarantine? Because I think we rewatched it so I could see Black Panther. We rewatched it right before quarantine started, and then we rewatched it after quarantine. So this is the 3rd time, and there's 26 movies, so that's keeping us occupied. And we're also watching WandaVision, so that has become our Friday night routine. We look forward to it. All 3 of the boys are sharing memes and TikTok videos of speculation about it all day Thursday and Friday, and then Friday night we order out takeout. We get salads and chicken. The boys get pizza, and we sit and watch WandaVision. So like these are really wonderful things that have taken over our evenings. And then by the time that's done, we're like, good night. And so we're not really having time together. We're struggling with that.
And that's the biggest difference, I think, for us. Comparing the current version of quarantine to the beginning.
Because I think for us, our together time has always been outside of the house.
Yes.
And maybe that's because we have 3 dogs and 2 cats and 2 teenagers, and it's a house, right? So when we're here, there's always something to do. There's always dishes or laundry, or a dog needs to go out, or a dog has ripped up a comforter, or they're, they need to go for a walk, or a cat is stalking us to like get us to sit down and hold them for a little bit. Like there's just, it's hard to sort of unplug from our roles. And so I mean, I kind of think we need to like go out on a date, sit in our car, and order takeout from a nice
Yeah,
restaurant,
we can do that.
and sit in a car.
Yeah, I'll hold you to that. Let's do it.
Okay, but not tonight because it's kind of cold.
Yeah. So my next tip, turn off the phone, quote unquote, the phone. And I wrote it that way, yeah, for as the phone representative of unplugging, just the practice of unplugging, what you just said. Your work phone, work computer, work email. So shut that off, obviously. Set boundaries, but also turn off the actual phone, like your cell phone. Put it to the side. Put it on the dresser and shut it off, and just be with each other.
That's hard. I think so many of us have become really super addicted to our cell phones during this. It's the only thing that's kept us tethered to others, right?
World.
Like some of our friendships have sort of moved to we're not sitting on the sidelines with these people anymore, speaking as like a mom. We're not sitting on the sidelines with them anymore. So we're not seeing them at school events anymore, and we're not comfortable seeing each other in person in someone's house. So our only connection is texting.
Right.
And so it is hard to put down that phone.
Right.
Everett also agrees.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably agreeing that we should put down the phone more and pay attention to him so
Right.
that he can be the center of our universe.
Absolutely.
That is our boy dog.
Are you able to tell one of the children to calm him down?
They can't once he gets like this. He's
like,
are you recording a podcast?
So I
I want to be in there.
3 more tips
Okay.
for how to rescue your relationship post-quarantine or towards the end of the quarantine. Self-care is my next tip. Tip number 5, self-care. We talk about the self-care a lot on this show. Self-care.
As I do in all of my social medias.
Self-care is not selfish. We talked about that. I guess that kind of goes along with alone time. But what does self-care mean to you? Does that mean fitting in a workout? Does that mean fitting in time where you? For me, it's picking up my guitar, which I haven't done in like a month.
You said that last night. You said, I think I need to play some music this weekend.
Yeah. It actually came up in my therapy session.
Ooh, you're outing yourself.
I'm outing myself.
Love it.
Yeah. Hey, this is the Changing Perspective Show. We talk about mental health. I started therapy about a month ago or so.
Restarted. You had done
restarted, yeah,
many years ago.
periodically. But found a great therapist. And we talked about, what refuels me and the things I like to do. And one of the things I like to do a lot is play music, and I haven't picked up my guitar in a while. So, and that is self-care for me. So I need to do that so it positively impacts our relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that takes sort of forethought, right?
Uh-huh.
Like last night, you said that you need to do that, but you literally are surrounded by your musical instruments all the time. So it's not that like you forget about them, right? We have a piano in our living room. I think there's probably 3 guitars out there right now. 2.
There's a ukulele and a guitar and 2 guitars in our room.
In our bedroom. So like you see them every day. So it's not just about saying like, I need to do that. It's about, I think, scheduling time for it. Like I'm going to do that Saturday night, or for me, it's writing, right? And it's great that I get to sort of share my words, and sometimes they speak to people, and sometimes I get paid for them, which is fantastic. But really, I'm writing as a form of self-care.
For you.
And it doesn't happen naturally. I get ideas naturally, and I sort of jot down the thoughts, but generally it doesn't happen naturally. I have to sort of schedule time. But also working out. And that was also part of the reason for the hiatus in January, is because and starting in January, I said I need to get back on the bike, literally, because I bought a bike back in August and then injured myself, got re-injured in a pool, an old knee injury.
Yeah,
my knee got kicked.
Old football injury.
We'll call it that. And so I deliberately sort of scheduled out, here's my work schedule. Yeah. This is on this day, this, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to commit to 5 days a week, 30 minutes. And here's specifically when I'm going to fit it into my schedule. And I put it on my personal calendar and on my work calendar, and really kind of felt like I needed to get that set before I could add on other stuff. And so that's what I encourage people to do when there's something that's self-care for you, really kind of build it in and hold it just as sacred as you do your work or grocery shopping or taking care of your kids.
Right. Prioritize those things. Like, think about that.
Yeah, and schedule them.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so my final two tips are kind of connected. They're like related. First is be creative about what refuels you and do it together. So your favorite bar isn't open yet. Try to recreate that signature drink at home together.
Well, I don't really do that together.
Yeah.
I just let you make it for me.
Movie night. So your movie theater isn't open or you don't feel comfortable going. Set up a movie theater, get those vibes going for a movie theater, a movie night.
It's hard to do that with dogs
It's
because
hard
there's
to do
not
that with
usually
dogs,
dogs that want to steal your popcorn at a movie theater.
I remember our eldest cat used to like popcorn.
Yeah,
Job.
and ears of corn. She would try to steal ears of corn, cooked corn.
Right. What a weirdo. So be creative about those things that you can't do yet and try to recreate them as best as you can in the safe environment.
Like you and I used to, back when we were both fit, we used to enjoy working out together. We would take a spin class together.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to get a bike and then you put it somewhere else.
Okay. That's funny. We'll fit it somewhere in the studio.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's no room.
So the final thing kind of goes with that last one about be creative about recreating what refuels you. Lean into new things and discover them together. So create a new experience for refueling. Instead of going out to dinner, you stay home and play a board game for couples. Things that can be sustained even after we're back to normal. Those, some things like discover something new. Lean into that, and maybe that will start to become something that refuels you too.
Have we done that at all?
Boy, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And we've cooked a lot together, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
We leaned into trying to explore new recipes, which I think is really cool. And trying different things. Like
I have a 100-hour brownie
say
recipe.
your 100-hour brownie recipe. And as listeners and fans of the show know, we're big Disney people. Even though I've separated myself because it makes me sad.
I know the three of us, me and the boys, are like, we want to go to Disney right now. We'll go with masks. Yeah. And you're like, I don't want to go unless it's back to normal. And I said, well, then we're going without you in June for my birthday.
I'll go. I just won't be happy about it.
Well, I don't want you to go if you're going to be grumpy.
Well, what I was going to say was we got a Disney cookbook.
Right.
And
this is the first weekend we're not making anything from that cookbook. Yeah. Don't tell Jackson he's going to make me cook something from the cookbook this weekend.
But we've, as a family and as you and I, doing it together, like that's something that's a new discovery, like seeing a recipe somewhere and either on social media or a book or whatever and trying it out.
Yeah. We did that at the very, very beginning of quarantine.
Yeah. We made those like 36-hour cookies or whatever.
I made those. You all ditched me.
Unbelievable.
Those were so good.
Best cookies I've ever had.
I wasn't going to say that. At the very beginning of quarantine, we did like a Pop-Tart, a homemade
Pop-Tart
bake-off, and 4 of us made different Pop-Tarts and compared them and did like a taste test. And I guess that's what we're doing with the 100-hour brownies and making the actual recipe for 100-hour brownies. But I'm also making a second batch and not waiting 100 hours. I'm not going to put them in the fridge and let them set for 4 days before I cook them. And so we're going to compare and contrast.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then I get to eat a brownie.
Yeah. Finally, my final tip was do a podcast together. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so those are the tips.
She just did deep what she does when she basically is rolling her eyes. She was like, "Arr."
So, wow, Jenny, we've been talking for over an hour.
I know, my laptop, everything's almost dead.
I know. I do have one more thing for everybody. This is just a fun Huffington Post article that I pulled for today's episode, and I'll drop the link. I'm not going to share the whole thing, but the title of this article, 20 marriage vows couples would have made had they known about quarantine.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I thought it would be funny to go through a few of these. The subtitle is, Coronavirus Pandemic is Putting Everything in Perspective, Including Couples' Wedding Vows. Let's see. Number one, this is from I think these are submissions from maybe readers or something for Huffington Post. This is from somebody named Sarah. I promise to never loudly shout from the other room, "Hey, Hey, Abraham Lincoln, what sounds good for dinner?" before confirming you're not video chatting with your boss. That's funny.
That makes sense.
That's it. Abraham Lincoln. Can you call me that from now
On it.
on?
I'm gonna think of a different president though. I'm gonna put a spin on it. I'll let you know what it is.
Okay. Do you promise to go out into the wild to look for toilet paper no matter what the cost? Do you promise to not walk around naked when there's a Zoom conference in progress? That's from somebody named Lisa. Okay,
Are you gonna do this with all 20 of these?
You'll like this.
Okay.
What?
I love you.
What?
Like
I'm gonna read a couple of them.
okay, not all of them.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Here's one.
This is from Lisa who likes long walks. Get it.
This is from somebody named Sarah. Again, different spelling. No H. Our marriage vows should have included my husband promising not to eat my secret snack stash. I'm more lovable when I have carbs. That's a trigger for you. You don't like when the boys eat the stuff you're saving.
Yeah, like I still have Christmas candy that you bought. I don't think I ate any of the candy you bought me for Christmas. I've got like really nice dark chocolate bar in the fridge. I don't know if it's still there. If our 15-year-old finds it, it's gone. And he'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know. It was there for 2 months. I thought no one was going to eat it."
This is from somebody named Lisa. Tom, I love you. You're my best friend. Today I give myself to you in marriage. I promise that I will put that little post-it on the camera holes as you're walking by, only wearing black socks. A lot of compromising Zoom camera situations.
That doesn't happen for me since I'm only in my house.
Right.
But
you did have something behind you recently that we made during the pandemic. Is it behind you? Go get it. I'll read the next one. Let's see. I promise not to throw your phone in the toilet when you're watching stupid TikTok videos. I promise not to hide the remote control in the covers on purpose.
That's mean.
So you never find it. I promise to stand way more than 6 feet away from you when I'm eating my Starburst jelly beans so you can't share them. And I promise to make sure your quarantine honeydew list is no more than 5 pages long. It's from somebody named Stacy.
So this was a quarantine project. I'm showing the live video. But
You're kind of frozen in my life feed. Oh, there you are.
But our youngest saw somewhere that you could make your own lightsabers because big Star Wars fans here. And so they went to Home Depot or Lowe's and bought all the stuff to make lightsabers and spray painted them. And they were kind enough to pick one out for me and let me pick my own color and let me pick which one I want. So this is this part that I'm showing you is actually a sink, a faucet or something, a drain,
a sink drain.
So anyways, mine is in my office to potentially be hung above the closets behind me, but actually that's the view my clients have. Now I don't know if how I feel about that. But it was sitting.
But it was behind you.
It was sitting behind me, propped against a wall, and I think it wasn't until Thursday of that week that a client at the end of a session, kind of serious session, was like, "I have a question for you. Is that a lightsaber behind you?" I was so embarrassed because I just totally. When I look at my environment, I filter out all of the musical instruments, pets, and superhero related stuff or Star Wars related stuff. So I didn't notice it. So yes, to your point, that's the only bobble I've had with Zoom related stuff.
Yeah. All right, so I'll read one more of these because
Okay.
we're already over an hour here. Okay, this is from somebody named Slade Wentworth. I take thee to have and to hold from this day forward, even if we forget what day it is, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, in boxers and in yoga pants, to love and to cherish till death or thermostat setting do us part.
That's fair. Okay.
So this is a funny, kind of light article from Huffington Post. 20 marriage vows couples would have made had they known about quarantine. So
Okay. All right. Well, that was fun. It was fun being back in the studio.
yeah,
I'm not going to commit to how often I'm going to be able to do this,
we're
but
gonna try to do weekly. That's the
we'll attempt
goal.
to do weekly.
Yeah.
And we'll attempt when we can to go live.
Yeah.
But listen, if I have not done my hair or my makeup, I'm not going live. Maybe that's a goal, that you get to like sort of see like the real raw me, but not yet.
Yeah.
So we'll try to go live when we can, but you can, we will post on social channels when another episode drops, but if you subscribe, the newest episode will always show up in your inbox. And if you're new to us, go back through, there's 88 other episodes to listen to. And don't judge for the audio quality at the beginning. We are growing and learning, and hopefully we'll be able to purchase some better recording equipment, maybe even this year.
I want a roadcaster, Jenny. That's the goal.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anything else to say?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. For today's show notes links, you can check out all those articles that I'm going to be dropping into the show notes, including the New York Times article. That's the one I was trying to find before. It's called "What Happened to Those Couples Who Quarantined Together," again, from the New York Times. Please follow us on Facebook, everybody, at Changing Perspectives Podcast, and on Instagram at Changing Perspectives Blog. You can send us an email to info@changingperspectivesonline.com. Don't forget, you can also find Jenny on TikTok, Changing Perspectives. You can also visit
it's actually the Changing
Perspectives on TikTok. You can also visit changingperspectivesonline.com, and while you're there, don't forget to visit the shop to check out all that Changing Perspectives merchandise. Go ahead and subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Say bye, Jenny.
Bye, Jenny.
Okay, that's it.
Do you have anything extra for the live person?
Why don't we read a couple more of these vow things real quick?
Okay.
Let's see. My Melissa, I promise that I will learn how to grocery shop before global pandemic hits. Apparently the family voted me most expendable, and now I am doing all these trips during quarantine. It is costing us a lot of extra time and money. I'm sorry. I'm also sorry that I didn't realize BOGO tomatoes wasn't a type of tomato, but meant buy one, get one. My bad. That's funny. Let's see. Hindsight being 2020, my wedding vow should have said to love, honor, cherish, and only use social distancing excuse once a week. Oh, there was a funny mother-in-law one that was funny. I promise to follow social distancing protocol by skipping all future dinners with you at your mother's house. That's from the blog called A Bearer of Dad News. That's funny.
Hold on.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
Bye, all. Thank you for joining us. Be on the lookout for another live stream. This episode will drop on Monday.
That's right.
All
Bye.
right. See ya.